Good morning. How are you? That was a little tepid. Let me try it again. Good morning. How are you? There you are. Good to see you. Welcome. And it is good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you. My name is Troy. I'm one of the pastors here, and grateful that you joined us here in person. All you were watching online, thanks for joining in as well. But it's been a while since I've seen you. I was out last week. I had the privilege to go to Honduras with about 20 people from Steamboat. We were down there for a week, and we were checking in and working at a couple of our projects that we're doing there on that island. And I got back on Friday night, but the rest of the team, I think, got back last night. Who's here that went to Honduras? Yeah, give a big hand to those guys. Boy, man, they represented you so well. They worked so hard. It was so hot. And but we were able to do some great projects for people who were in very, very difficult situations. And I hope and believe that maybe we were able to relieve a little bit of just some of the misery that some of these folks live in and bring some hope to them and some encouragement. And it was just, we made Jesus famous, I think, down there, and made Steamboat famous. It was really fun. And so thank you for praying for us, and it's good to be back home. It is interesting. I went to a third world for a week on a missions trip, and I gained weight. So I have a problem. I love Latino food, and they fed us well. And so, but I'm back, and it was interesting getting back on Friday night. I saw my wife for the first time in 20 days. She had previously went to the Ukraine, and just as she was getting back, I was leaving. And so I just want to give you a progress report. Our marriage has never been better. We have 20 days apart. We are just it's like in the beginning. It was wonderful. So we'll see how long that lasts. But great to be here with you this morning. Again, thanks for your prayers and sending us out. And I hope someday maybe you can go with us on one of these trips. It'll bless you and it'll help some people. So today, I just want to start off by saying that I want to talk to you about something that I think that every one of us have in common. And this isn't something that's a Christian thing or a religion thing or a church thing. What we have in common, what I'm going to talk about is a human thing. And it's this. I believe that all of us want to be known for something. That we want to be known for something. You may have not given this much thought, but if someone did ask you, hey, what do you want to be known for? I believe that something inevitably would come to your mind. Something would come up, some adjective or some adjectives would come up into your mind. In fact, as I think about my life and I think, okay, I have a few adjectives that I hope my children think of when they think of me. I have a few words that I hope my wife thinks of when she thinks of me. I have a few attributes that I hope that my coworkers and my neighbors and my friends think of when they think of me. And so, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? Now, of course, as I thought about this, there are different levels to this, and some of them are really good, and some of them are not so good. Some of them come from a broken place in our life. For example, there is a place that's deep down inside of me where I have always wanted to be known for being smart. I wanted to be known as smart. Clearly, that didn't happen, but I wanted to be. In fact, this was partly put on me by my dad, and it's not a bad deal. Like any good dad, my dad challenged me to be a good student. But school did not come easy for me. I've mentioned to you that I went to school at Moffat County over in Craig, and it just didn't come easy for me. It seemed like it was easier for everyone else. That school, I don't know if it was because I was so young in my class. It just seemed like I'd be in a class and it felt as if everyone else had already taken the class before. I'm like, hey, how did you know that? Or where did you read that? I didn't know. And so I was always behind, and little by little, over time, I developed some insecurities and maybe some obsession about wanting to be known for being smart. But it never really panned out for me, clearly. And as much as I wanted to be known for being a good student, being smart, I ended up becoming known for other things in school. For example, in middle school, in PE class, true story, we were doing some circuit training. This is where you would kind of go to a station and do push-ups, or you do sit-ups, or you do jump rope for a minute, and then you would trade. In circuit training, we were doing that, and I got to the pull-up bar. And I was in 6th or 7th grade. I think it was 7th grade. And I couldn't do one pull-up. Now, this might be hard for you to believe, but back then I was kind of short and a little dumpy. And so it was really hard. I just couldn't pull it up. And I tried and just couldn't. And so instead of doing the pull-ups, I just hung there on the bar while the minute went through. And I'll never forget that when the time was up, our PE coach, when the time was up, our PE coach, Mr. Guffey, you know him, Mr. Guffey blew his whistle and he said, "Everyone stop!" And then he did something different. He said, look at Troy. Look at Troy over there. And he pointed to me hanging there on the pull-up bar, and I'm sure my little PE shirt was up a little high, and my little belly was sticking out, and I had my little PE shorts on. They were probably too tight, and just kind of swinging, and I'm looking around like, what was he? And he said, "Doesn't Troy look just like a turtle hanging in a tree?" And yes, there was some laughter. People, funny. People falling over, Yeah. So for the rest of middle school, I became known as Turtle. That was my nickname. Everybody can, "Hey, Turtle." I didn't want that nickname. I wanted something a little better. I would have preferred like Rocky, something tough. But I was Turtle, and so I wanted to get rid of that, but it stuck with me. Then I went to high school, and since school and studying was not really my jam, I got into partying. Yeah, I got into that, and little by little, I became known as a party animal, which I was fine with that. That was better than being a turtle, right? I was evolving a little bit, and I discovered as I partied that I had some hidden talents. I was great at drinking games. I mean, I was just amazing. You should have seen me. And also I was good at doing stupid stuff that would make people laugh. And I won't go into any of that, but subsequently, over really refining this and working on it, about halfway through my senior year, my class recognized my achievements in partying, and I was voted class clown and most radical student of Moffat County High School, 1986. Yes, thank you. Don't clap at that. I was so proud. I remember coming home, telling my parents, "Mom, Dad, sit down. I, class clown, most radical." And my dad, with all the sarcasm he could put, he said, "What an accomplishment, son." So proud. And that didn't bother me, because why? I became known for something, which is what we all kind of want. I became known for something, and we'll let anything attach itself to us if we get to be known for it. Now, of course, as I've grown up, I found there are a lot better things to be known for. I want to be known for being a good friend. I'd like to be known as a hard worker. I'd like to be known as a good father, a good husband, all those things. And I hope that I'm known for that. Now, that brings up a different question that we need to think. What do you do when you realize that you aren't really measuring up to what you hope you are? What do you do when you realize, you're like, "I'm not living up to what I want to be known for"? Right? I'm not doing that. What do you do? Well, I don't have to tell you what I do, because I do the same thing that you do. I pretend. I act like I'm okay, that I'm good. I act like I'm smart. And I act like I'm a good father. And I act like I'm a good husband, especially when people are watching me. Right? Because there's this thing. And what I do and what we do is we try to manage our image. We try to make sure that our image looks like we are for what we want to be known. And here's the problem. The problem with managing our image, the problem with managing your image is it often just makes you imaginary. That you're not real anymore. That you're not relevant, you're not real to the people around you. And we have all met people who are just like that. You've met someone for the first time and you're just like, "Wow, they are amazing," right? And then all of a sudden you get to know them and you're like, "Wow," right? You're like, the closer you get to them, the more that you realize that what you saw wasn't real. And you don't want to be around them. In fact, you kind of wish that you never got to know them truly, because you're like, I like the imaginary them more than I like the real them. And of course, none of us want to be one of those people. None of us want to be like that or be known for being that way. So here's my point. My point is that sometimes there's a gap, right? There's this gap between what I want to be known for and what I'm actually known for. There's this gap between that. And I may think and hope that I'm a good dad, and I'm a good friend, and I'm a hard worker, and I'm a good Christian, but it's the people in my life who know the truth. It's my wife, it's my children, it's the people around me, my neighbors, my coworkers. They know the truth about me, and of course, I kind of want to know the truth. I mean, I want to know how people see me. I want to know that. It's scary, but I want to know the truth. And I mean, here's the thing. I know that I'm only going to get one chance at living this life, and I know that one day I'll be gone, and I hope that I will be remembered for something good, that I'll be remembered for something that I'm proud of. And so, with that in mind, over the next couple of weeks, I'm encouraging us all to ask ourselves two very simple questions. Number one, what do I want to be known for? Not just at the end of my life, but while I'm living my life. What do I want to be known for? And then number two, what am I actually known for? What am I actually known for? Now, the first question, we get to answer that ourselves. We get to fill in the blank and decide what we want to be known for. The second question, that's for others to answer. Our spouse, our kids, people who know us, our coworkers. And this is where it gets a little scary and it gets a little vulnerable to kind of inquire and to think about, what do people actually think of me? But listen to me. Here is the power and the simplicity of these two questions. When the answers to these two questions match up, when they sync up, when what we want to be known for is actually what we are known for, guess what happens? We begin to become the kind of people that we want to be. I would go a step further, become the kind of people that God wants us to be. That there's a consistency, there's an integrity, there's a realness to that. And we get to kind of live the life that we always wanted to live, that at the end of our life we can look back and have that. And so here's the thing. Asking these two questions, I believe, will not only grow you personally and challenge you personally, they will grow you relationally. It'll help you with those that you're with, and they will impact the success of perhaps maybe your business, or where you work, your employment. It will impact the success and the harmony of your home and your family, and hopefully it will also impact your church and its impact on the community. And so I think that this will be life-changing. Now, before I go too far into this, I want to share with you just a couple of ways that I have answered these questions in my own life. I want to give you a couple of examples so that as you think about answering, this might give you an idea. Go back to question number one. What do I want to be known for? As I thought about that, I immediately and instantly thought of Jesus' greatest commandment. Many of you know this. Jesus was once asked, what's the most important thing in life? What's the one thing that we should be focused on? What's the greatest commandment? In Matthew chapter 22, Jesus said the greatest commandment is that you should love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your mind and all of your strength. And equal to that, you should love your neighbor as yourself, as you love yourself. And now we've kind of shortened that and we basically say love God and love people. That's what we should be about and should be good at. Naturally, I want to be known for loving God. And I thought, how can I do that? And the best way I can do that, I could obviously sing and dance, and whenever we play music, I could worship God, or I could wear God t-shirts all the time, or put bumper stickers, and that could be one way. But I think a better way for me to show that I love God is to be faithful to Him. To be faithful to Him. In other words, I want to be known for being faithful to God. What I mean by that is I want to be faithful to Him based on the responsibilities and the roles that He's given me, that I would be faithful with that I would be faithful with the time that He's given me on this planet, that I would be found faithful with the resources that He's given me. Because why? Because when I stand at the end of my life, when I stand before God, which I believe I will, I want to hear Him say something to me. I want to hear Him say, hey, well done, you know this one? You guys remember this? Well done, thy good and faithful servant. I want to hear Him say that. I want Him to say, hey, man, you've been a faithful husband. You've been a faithful father. You are a faithful friend. You've been a faithful pastor. You have been faithful with what I've given. You've been faithful with the time that I gave you on that planet. You used it for good. You've been faithful with the 1 or 2 talents that I gave you, and you used it for good. You've been faithful with the resources that I've given you. We just talked about love gives. To whom much has been given, much is expected. And I want God to say, you've been faithful with what I've given you. That is my heart. And of course, that's a huge challenge. It's going to take a lifetime for me to work that out. But every day when I wake up and I say to myself, this is what I want to be known for. I want to be known as being faithful to God. I am taking a step closer to reaching that goal and not thinking my life has been a waste at the end of it. That's one. The second part of that, the second one is connected to the second commandment, loving people. I want to be known for being for the person who is standing right in front of me. I want to be known as a person who is for people. Whoever is currently standing right in front of me, I want to be for that person. And right now, that's you, right? And so my hope and my prayer is that you would experience that when you're around me, that you would get the sense and the feeling when I'm talking with you or meeting with you or hanging out with you, that I am for you and I am for your success. And why is that? Because I believe this is what Jesus did. I think he was a master at this. I think Jesus, whenever he went somewhere and whenever he met someone, he gave that person his undivided attention and love and care. And I believe that people sensed that his heart, his love for them was genuine. And it opened their heart, and that Jesus was for them, that they sensed that Jesus was for them and that he wasn't against them. Which is the opposite of what most people thought God was, that God is actually against us. And so I want to be known as someone that's for people. And so here's the deal. Asking those 2 questions in your life and in my life, here's what it does for me. It gives me an anchor. It gives me something to hold on to. When the busyness and the chaos of life kind of pulls me out to sea, I have something to kind of hold on to, and I can say, okay, today I am going to try to be faithful to God with what he's given me in my life. And today, right now, I'm going to be for the person that's in front of me right now. And this helps me keep my eye on the scoreboard and helps me know that I'm there. But here's the thing. The truth is that ultimately it is the people in my life who will help me know if there's a gap between my heart and what I want to be known for and what I'm actually known for. And again, that's a little scary, it's a little vulnerable, but the reality is this, and this is where we got to land, is that none of us are perfect, and that God's grace is ready to cover us when we fall short of our great goals. But I just want to say this. So if you are here this morning and you have a vision for your life, for something that you're shooting for, that's great. But if you don't have a vision, that's okay. My hope is that you will join us on this journey and that together we'll figure this out, okay? That was my very long introduction, I understand. I will not take much more of your time. Good morning, guys. Glad you're here. Let me. You showed up just in time because this is about to get good. Here's what I want to talk to you about today for the remainder of my time. This is our challenge. As followers of Jesus, we need to think about this. We need to think about this. We need to ask ourselves, is what we want to be known for what we are actually known for? We need to be mindful of that, right? As followers of Jesus, as you've decided, we talked about being believers in Jesus, and that's not the same thing as being a follower of Jesus, right? And so we need to reconcile that. And maybe you're here and you're not quite a follower, but you're thinking about it. This is what you need to understand, that we want to be known for, is what we're known for, being a follower of Jesus, actually what we're known for. And if not, this is a big problem. And we need to deal with it. In fact, this is a big problem, and I would suggest to you that the whole Church of Jesus Christ needs to think about this, especially nowadays. No doubt, I don't think any of us would disagree that there is a huge gap between what non-Christians see as for the church and what you and I see in the church. right? There's a big gap. In fact, maybe it's a miracle that you're here this morning in and with this church because you've had such bad experiences, and I get it. There's a huge problem with that. In fact, I read an article while I was on this trip that was very sobering to me, and it was about since COVID, the Church of Jesus Christ nationally in America has really struggled. Numbers are down, not here at Steamboat Christian Center, thank God, but in many places in the churches across, attendance and involvement is down. And it was sobering. They gave some statistics. They said this, 71%, think about this, 71% of Americans have a positive opinion of Jesus Christ. 7 out of 10 of your friends think Jesus is pretty cool and he's okay with them, all right? That's good. But check this out. Only 21% of Americans have a positive opinion of us. Now there is a gap there, right? There's a big deal. And the reason that they gave for rejecting us and rejecting Christianity and rejecting Jesus or the church, perhaps, were painful to read. This is what they know the church. This is what they believe. They believe as number one that we're hypocritical. That's an old one. That's the number one. Everybody believes that we don't actually live what we say we want to live. Right? And number two, we're really good at being judgmental on everybody else, not ourselves. Number three, they said that the church is too political. And boy, is that true nowadays. There is this movement that's happened in the Church of Jesus Christ where churches are either a bastion of liberal thought or conservative thought. They're either a location for Democrats or Republicans, but no coexisting between the two. And we've become overly politicized. And by the way, let me just make a statement here as we head into this political season. Be involved in that. Do your civic duty. I am not encouraging you not to have positions on that. But the kingdom that we live in is not the kingdom that Jesus came to bring. And the way we get his kingdom isn't going to be through elections. Amen? And so we just need to understand that, and we need to make sure, be involved, be engaged, but let's not let it take over the church, because this is a different thing. We're thinking something bigger. So, and people see it. They're political, which is where church has always been messed up, is when it got involved in government and being power, and it really got twisted and messed up. I'll talk about that in a second. And so, anti-homosexual church is seen. We're seen as sexist, racist, and hateful. Now, I look at that, and I think, the question comes to mind, I go, how did this happen? How did that happen? Think about this. How did the most loving, most hopeful, most inclusive message the world has ever seen or heard get twisted into that? How is it that people are more familiar with what Christians are against than what we're actually for? How did that happen? Now, I think that there are a lot of reasons. I think one of them, of course, is that we have centuries of church history that is embarrassing and stupid, and we got involved in politics and really messed it up, and that's contributed to the gap, and I would love to talk to you more about that, but I don't have time today. I think that also, like I said today, there are a lot of things that are happening that are being done and said in the name of Jesus in churches all around the country that are contributing to that gap. But regardless of why it's happening, we need to ask ourselves these questions. What does our church want to be known for? And what, maybe more importantly, what are we actually known for? What do they think of us here? Are we known for what Jesus was for? Are we known for loving God and loving people? If not, I'll tell you this, you and I have an opportunity to bridge that gap, to narrow that gap. In fact, I would suggest that more than that, we have a responsibility for the next generation that we bridge that gap, right? And so let me illustrate this idea with you this way. This is kind of funny. Most of you know that I am an amazing singer, right? I mean, it's kind of out there. It's out there. I'm kind of known as the songbird of my generation. And it's just there. It's kind of fun. And I've told Julie and Ben, listen, if you ever need someone to fill in and lead, I am their guy. So although I am known for being a good singer, I am not known for being a good instrumentalist or a musician. I'm not great at playing instruments. I can't. For example, this cello, I've been looking at it. I've played the cello before. I've tried. It looks simple enough. It's big. It's just got, I think maybe 4 strings. It might have 5. And I'm like, what's so hard about that? And I've tried, and it's horrible. I'm a horrible cellist. Horrible. I've tried it a couple times, and it's never gone well. But here's the thing. I could, if I wanted to, I could go around telling people I'm a cellist. I can go around town. I'm a cellist. I could put it on Facebook. I play the cello. I could get T-shirt and walk around. I play the cello on the front and back. I'm a cellist, and say that. And of course, none of that would actually make me a cellist just because I say it, right? In fact, I could really go to the next level. I could sit down, and I could pick up a cello. Right now, I could pick up that cello right now, and I could try to play one of the most famous cello pieces ever made. It's Bach's, Johann Sebastian Bach's Cello Suite Number 1. Now, you may not know that title, but you know this tune, this melody, and it is arguably one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever composed. And it is possible that as I play this for you, as I sit down and begin to play this for you, that you would, for maybe a brief second or 2, you would actually have a vague idea of what the heck I'm playing. For just a second or 2, I'd catch it for a moment there, you would get the melody, but I promise you it wouldn't sound anything like Bach intended. In fact, it would sound a little like this. This is a violin. I don't have a cello, but I spent some time yesterday practicing, about 15 minutes, and I'm going to give you the opening of Bach's Cello Suite Number 1. Are you ready? Okay, quiet, please. Oh, that was bad. Sorry. Can I start over? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe you caught a glimpse of it. On the other hand, if an actual cellist came up here and started to play this piece, you would begin to hear something different. You would hear something beautiful. I mean, instantly. You would hear something, as you listen to it, you would go, this is amazing. And something, your spirit would rise up and you would be inspired if you heard this piece in its entirety. The notes and the melody of this would be perfectly played if a cellist was doing this. In perfect tempo and with perfect pitch, you would hear what the composer truly intended with this music. You would hear what Johann Sebastian Bach, his Cello Suite Number 1, was supposed to sound like, if that happened. Here's my point. I've often thought of something similar when I've thought about Jesus and his church. Jesus clearly wrote a beautiful composition. The words that he said and the way that he loved and the way that he treated people, it was perfect. It was what we all aspire to be like. It was perfect. It was good news, as we sung about earlier. It was the best news that the world has ever heard. Unfortunately, Christians throughout the centuries have performed this melody not so well. Oftentimes we have been out of tune with that, and we've oftentimes hit the wrong notes, and sometimes we've actually played something entirely different than what he intended. And here's the thing, the world knows the difference. The world can tell the difference. They can hear the gap between the original and our version. Our kids can hear the difference. Our friends can hear it. Our coworkers and our neighbors can all hear the dissonance between this original and what we do often. And it doesn't inspire them, and it certainly doesn't move them or challenge them, because it just doesn't sound right at all. And everybody knows it. Everybody's like, that's not God. You say it is, but that's not God. It doesn't sound like the original. Now you might ask, so what would that tune sound like? Well, Jesus' tune was like no other. It was completely original. Most people associate Jesus with things like love, humility, and surrender. That is what he was known for. Love, humility, and surrender. Think about what the Church of Jesus Christ is known for. Which, by the way, back then, no one and nowhere could that be found in other people's writings or teachings from that time. No one was talking about those things. Jesus was the first to mention unconditional love, where you don't wait for it to come to you, you just give it out. He was the first to talk about unconditional forgiveness. How many times shall I forgive? 7 times? No, 7 times 70. He was the first one that talked about unconditional acceptance of everybody, women, different people, different generations, the poor, the wealthy, the spiritual, non-spiritual. He was the first to talk about that. Other teachers of his time, they talked about things. They talked about things like courage and justice. That was a big thing. And moderation, which all those are good. But grace, equality, generosity, kindness, not so much. In fact, let me share with you one of Jesus' tunes, if I may. It's from his very first sermon. It's something we call the Sermon on the Mount, or I could call it Jesus' Cello Suite number 1. It's his opus, no doubt. As I read this, I want you to think about what Jesus was for. Not what the church has been known for, but what Jesus was actually for. And as you hear this, I want you to understand that this beautiful melody is a melody that you and I were meant to play. This is how it was supposed to sound. Jesus said this in Luke 6. He said, love your enemies. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who are cursing you. And pray for those who are hurting you. If someone slaps you on the cheek, then you need to offer them the other cheek as well. If someone demands that you give them your coat, you should give them your coat and you should give them your shirt as well. Give to anyone who asks you. And when things are taken away from you, don't try to get them back. Don't worry about getting them back. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. He goes on, he says, love your enemies. Do good for those who are on the other side of the political aisle, who you disagree with. Do good to them. Lend them money without expecting to be repaid. Wow. Then your reward from heaven will be very great, and you will be truly acting as children of the Most High, for he is kind even to those who are ungrateful and evil to him. So be compassionate, just as your Father, Heavenly Father, is compassionate. Do not judge others, and you won't be judged. And do not condemn others, or it's gonna come back on you. Forgive others, and you will be forgiven. Beautiful. Right? Jesus was consumed. If you know anything about him, you know he was consumed with a love for all, including his enemies. And we know this because he not only died for his friends, he died for his enemies as well. He gave his life for us all. And this is what I don't want you to miss, he asked his followers very specifically and very directly to be known for that kind of love. That we would be known for that. That would be the tune that people heard coming from our lives. He said this in John 13. He says, by this, the world will know that you belong to me, if you love one another. In 1 John 4, John the Beloved said this. He said, let me just tell you, whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. In other words, if you say you know God, but you don't love, stop it. There's a gap. You're wrong. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. God's love was revealed to us in this way, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. And in this is love. Not that we love God first and that he loved us back. No, he loved us and he sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Beloved, he said, since God loved us so much, we also ought to love one another. This is the music that should be emanating from our lives. And here's the thing. When you and I play that tune consistently in our life, and when it begins to sound, and we practice, by the way, we practice this. It takes some practice. We come together and we practice on each other in church and learning to love one another, our brothers and sisters. It helps us when we go out there and love and how to love our enemies. And when we practice this and we play that consistently and it begins to sound like the original, like what Jesus had in mind, the gap between what we want to be known for and what we are actually known for begins to close, and the world will then sit up and take notice. And so, over the next couple of weeks, all I want to do with you is I want to talk about what it looks like to be known for what we're for rather than what we're against. I want to talk about what we should be known for and what we're for rather than what we're against. And with our eyes wide open and with our hearts open as well, we're going to ask God to show us where the gaps are in our lives and in our homes and in our church. And we're going to try to close those gaps if we can together. Okay? And so as I close, I want to invite our friend Alyssa, who is with Strings in the Mountain. And I've asked her to come and play for us Bach's Cello Suite No. 1, as it was intended. And as she plays this, I want to encourage you to ease into it and go, oh, this tune. And then listen to it, and then maybe close your eyes. And as you think about and listen to this, I want you to think about the tune that Jesus wants you to play for your family and for your community. And remember that if we say that we love God and we love people, then the tune that is playing in our lives should match the original. And so I want you to think about that as we listen to this masterpiece together. That was okay. Some in your soul happens there, right? It's a masterpiece. We have been given that same thing. Now, I know you and I would think, never in a million years. Never in a million years. But the difference that we have is that Jesus said that he would send the Comforter, he would send the Holy Spirit into our life, and that he would come alongside us and come behind us and help us to play those notes that he played so well, and that we would be able to live and love like he loved and lived. And so with his help and with our willingness to surrender and our desire to play music, to play his tune, we can do this, and with some practice and some time. And so I want to encourage you over these next few weeks to stick with us as we learn to master this. That we've got to get this down. We've got to close that gap. Amen.